Okay, so let's do the Duncan Trussell stories. So, in the like 2009, 2010, 2012, something like that, I went to a show in San Francisco, and it was actually headlined by Neil Hamburger, and opening was Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric, and Duncan Trussell, and then Kenny K. Strausser, who, if you guys remember, in the 2000s, he started conning his way into like news shows and stuff, and said he was like a yo-yo master, but then he would totally fuck up. So he's like on Conan O'Brien, he's like, yeah, I'm Yo-Yo Master, and he's just like getting all tangled up and goofing up and like, oh, I promise I'm usually better, and like, it was great. And he totally fooled a lot of people. He ended up getting a spot on The Office, and yeah, he's a successful comedian now, so super cool. So, and it was emceed remotely, I believe, because she wasn't there, but by Natasha Leggero. So, quite the lineup. Neil Hamburger, Tim Heidecker, Duncan Trussell, Natasha Leggero, and Kenny K. Strass. So, went to the show. It was a small show. It was at a place called the Swedish American Music Hall in San Francisco. And, went and sat down. It was a seated show, and there's maybe 300 of us, if that. And so, yeah, see the show. K-Stress, hilarious. He's getting an audience member up there and, goofing around saying he's going to, like, knock an apple off their head with the yo-yo and shit like that. And then Duncan did his set, and Duncan was cool. And next up was Tim Heidecker. And so Tim Heidecker, his whole comedy act, which I don't know if you've seen his special, it's free on YouTube. His whole thing is like that he's the shitty comic, like that he sucks and that he's just like flustered and confused and all this shit. So he just plays up the act. So it was hilarious. But at one point, this guy like started heckling him, and this was some drunk guy in the audience, and of course, just acting like a jerk. But yeah, he kind of took it too far, like it was kind of funny at first, but he ended up taking it too far, and Tim actually got pissed and kind of broke character and was like, get this guy out of here, like get him the fuck out of here, like he was pissed. And so like it was kind of dark and people were having trouble finding him, and so I pointed the guy out. He was right in front of me. He's a douchebag. And so dude's like pissed and he gets kicked out. Well, the show's over and I'm standing out front or I'm getting to the front, and I start talking to Duncan. Actually, he was just chilling, and hey, I liked your set. I actually wasn't familiar with him before that, and so I talked to him, and he was really cool and nice, and we parted ways, and I left. Well, when I got out front, the heckler guy was standing out front and saw me and instantly like just had this look on his face, and like I was worried. I had to walk to Bart. I was like, fuck, is this guy gonna harass me now? And so yeah, I went to the bathroom hoping when I came back he'd be gone, and sure enough, there he is standing there with his arms crossed. He looks pissed. And so I saw Duncan, and I was like, hey dude, you know that guy that was heckling Tim during his set? And he's like, yeah. I was like, dude, like I pointed him out and now he's standing out front, like I fucking think this guy's like waiting for me, like he's gonna try to start shit. And so Duncan goes, oh yeah, he goes, all right, well watch this, fuck. He goes, let's go. And so we walk out there, and he walks in front of me, and this guy, just the look on his face, like seeing Duncan Trussell and me like walking together, like he totally was just like, fuck, hey, you don't want to mess around or whatever. And so Duncan walked me about halfway to Bart, and was a super nice guy. Really, really nice of him to do that. So yeah, that's the first story. The second story was 2 years later. I went and saw Duncan. He was doing like a live podcast taping at the Independent in San Francisco. And I still wasn't very familiar with him or anything. I just had a couple of friends that were going and they had an extra ticket. So I was like, sure, I'll go. So we go and we get there a little early, and I'm standing out front and smoking, and some girl, her name was Molly. She was a tall, hot chick, started talking to me. So we're talking for a while, and I'm into Molly. I like Molly. And so we were talking, and I just talked to her, and that was it. We parted ways, but I kept thinking, and I was like, God damn, I wish I had got her number. How many times in life does that happen, right? We're talking to somebody, a hot chick or dude or whatever, and you're like, fuck, I blew it. Like, I should have got their information. But anyway, so night goes on, and we get in there and watching the podcast taping, and it's cool and everything. And after about an hour, Duncan says, hey, well, we're gonna do question and answer now. And so if anybody has any questions for me, if they want to be on the podcast or whatever, come form a lineup here, and we'll talk. And so I heard that, and I was like, ooh, idea. So I stood in line and I waited, and then I finally got up there. And Duncan, hey, how you doing? What's your question? And me on the microphone in front of about 800 people at the Independent, I said, hey, Duncan, love the show. I actually don't have a question for you, I'm sorry. I said, but I was talking to this girl, Molly, in front of the venue before the show. I thought she was really cute and really, funny, and I liked talking to her. But I didn't get her number or anything. And so, Molly, if you're anywhere out there in the audience, I just wanted to say that I thought you were pretty, and I thought you were cool, and, maybe we can meet up outside after and exchange contact info. And when I said that, the whole audience was like, you could tell, like, it was mainly the women because of the tone of voice. We're like, oh, I was like, wow, this is good. I got fucking 500 women here backing me up, so this should go well. So walk out, and there's Molly waiting for me, and she's all giddy and has, this smirk on her face, and she's very, embarrassed, I guess, but she's, enamored, I guess the word for it. She's, happy. So anyway, we start talking, and she says, I can give you my number, but we can only be friends because I actually have a boyfriend, and he's actually working security here tonight. So this dude is probably standing there working security, and here's this dude calling out about his girlfriend in front of all these people, and oh man. And then he walked up while we were talking, and I was just like, he didn't say anything. He was just like, I'll be at the car or whatever, and walked away. And I was like, damn, dude, it was a funny situation. So those are my two Duncan Trussell stories. He protected me one time, and he was a way for me to get a girl's number the other time, which nothing ever happened with Molly and I. Actually, she was a little strange about having a boyfriend and talk to me kind of like she wanted more, but I didn't want to do that. I'm not interested in helping somebody cheat, so we stopped talking actually. But yep, that's it. That's the story for the day. Maybe next time we'll be at Avenger Banhart. I don't know. Oh, and the trivia question. Who was the first concert I ever went to? So, the first rock concert I ever went to was a radio festival called BFD at the Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View, and Blink-182 did headline that along with Stained, 311, Disturbed, Pennywise, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, Newfound Glory, Sum 41, Alien Ant Farm, Hoobastank, Hoobastank was the next year, but yeah, so it was an interesting show. But that wasn't my first concert, because that was when I was 15. My first concert when I was 12 in 1997 was, drum roll, Spice Girls. My aunt and my cousin were going, and they had an extra ticket, and they asked me if I wanted to go, and I had a huge crush on Ginger Spice. And so, yeah, I went. We were all the way in the back. I couldn't even see him, But, yeah, that was my first concert with Spice Girls, and I used to have a lanyard, like a fake backstage pass thing you could buy at the merch booth, but I don't know what happened to it. So, yep, Spice Girls, no Marilyn Manson. Never seen Marilyn Manson live. I totally would, but I don't know what he'll be doing after all the shit he's going through right now. It's not cool. And 98 Degrees actually did open the show, but they weren't the headliner. So I did technically see 98 Degrees with Spice Girls, but I was asking who was the
the headliner. And Blink-182 I've seen so many times, which I actually, one time, when me and my buddy graduated, Blink-182 that summer was playing what was called the Dollar Bill Tour, and it was about 10 dates through the United States where they played small clubs. I mean, they were still like theaters that held like 2,000 people, but at this point, this was the height of Blink-182's popularity, so they were fucking selling out arenas, you know, left and right. So they didn't have any shows in San Francisco Bay Area. The closest one was in San Diego. So we got in his fucking 60s VW station wagon that ran on, it was like diesel and it had a generator and it would not go it wouldn't go faster than 50 miles per hour. So we're fucking driving all the way down to San Diego. We get there the night before the show and I'm like, dude, drop me off at the venue. I am gonna sleep in front of the venue. And there were already about 10 other kids that were there doing it. So yeah, it was a very fun show. It was when their self-titled album had just come out. And the openers were, I don't know if you guys remember a band called The Kinnison and a rapper named Bubba Sparks. Oh boy. Anyway, yep. So there's some stories. There's some stories. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway. All right. Everybody have a good night. We'll see what we can come up with tomorrow. Bye.